Welcome to the deep dive. We've all been there, right? That quick how are you exchange. And, well, for most of us, the default response is often just, I'm fine.
Yeah, it's almost automatic.
But what if that phrase, that seemingly harmless little phrase, is actually costing you, maybe costing opportunities for, deeper connection? Today, we're diving into how our sources reveal a simple but really powerful upgrade to this common social habit.
It's fascinating, really. It's about uncovering the hidden impact of these tiny, tiny interactions.
Micro-interactions.
Exactly. Our mission in this deep dive is to explore the sort of subtle psychology behind why certain common responses might be, well, accidentally shutting down deeper connection.
Okay.
And, more importantly, how a conscious shift, a deliberate change in your language, can fundamentally alter your social landscape.
So let's focus right in on this phrase. I'm fine, thank you, and you. It's, like you said, almost automatic for so many of us.
It really is.
But our sources suggest it's more than just, being polite. What's the actual issue here?
Well, what's truly interesting is that in many English-speaking cultures, this phrase often acts like a conversational, full stop.
A dead end.
A dead end, yeah.
Yeah.
It subtly signals a lack of openness, almost like you're putting up a little velvet rope.
Yeah.
Saying, okay, no further questions needed.
Right. Move along.
It's not just a barrier. It's a missed micro-opportunity for building rapport.
A missed micro-opportunity. Huh. I like that framing. I can see that. And the sources even have data on this. A study, I think it was the journal Pragmatics.
That's right.
That field looking at how language is actually used, right?
Yeah.
Not just words, but the meaning behind them.
Exactly. How context shapes meaning.
They found that a significant 65% of English speakers see I'm fine as insincere, especially in casual chats or even at work.
65%. It's huge.
That's a massive chunk of interactions potentially feeling, well, disconnected just from those few words.
Absolutely. And, our brains, evolutionary speaking, they're always scanning for signals. Safety, cooperation, a generic I'm fine can maybe subconsciously signal I'm not really invested here. It triggers a kind of primal disengagement.
Wow.
It's about more than just manners. It's signaling social openness, which leads to the big question.
Yeah.
If it's so common, and so many people feel it's insincere.
Yeah.
How do we make sure we're not part of that 65%? How do we pivot?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Because, I can hear some listeners thinking, hang on, does it always have to be some deep connection? Sometimes I just need to be quick, polite, and move on.
Yeah.
Is there ever a time when I'm fine actually is the right call? Or should we always aim for more?
That's a really, really good point. And yes, there are definitely contexts.
Yeah.
Maybe like a super quick exchange in a packed elevator with someone you barely know.
Sure.
There, brevity's probably best, and I'm fine. Does its job. Quick acknowledgement.
Okay.
But for pretty much any interaction where you want even a tiny bit of connection or you want to build some rapport.
Like with a colleague or a client.
Or even the barista you see every single day. That's where the opportunity lies. It's about matching your response to the goal of that specific interaction, not just blindly answering the question.
Okay, so calibrating the intent. Got it. So if I'm fine is often this conversational cul-de-sac. What are some alternatives? What does the source material suggest we could, start using right away?
Yeah, so instead of that automatic generic thing, you can try variations that offer just a little hint of detail, or maybe some emotion.
Okay.
Making it more of an invitation, less of a wall.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Okay, so you could try something simple like, I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. How about you? Still polite, but warmer.
A little warmer, yeah.
Or pretty good, actually. Just wrapped up a big presentation, so feeling kind of accomplished. Has a little flavor.
Right, a bit of context.
Exactly. Or, if the situation feels right, you could even be a bit more candid. Honestly, I've had better days, but I'm getting through it. What about you?
Ooh, I've had better days. That feels kind of brave, depending on who you're talking to.
It does. It takes judgment.
I'm picturing saying that to my boss. Maybe not.
Yeah.
But, okay, it sounds like each of these, even the subtle ones, they offer a tiny little window into how you're actually doing.
Precisely.
Which makes it so much easier for the other person to actually, respond meaningfully.
Exactly. They show you're present, you're willing to share a little, and crucially, that you actually care about their response too. It fosters something more authentic, more human.
Moves it from just politeness to actual connection.
Spot on.
Okay, so we've got these alternatives, which is great,
Yeah.
but is it like a one-size-fits-all deal? Because surely what I'd say to my coworker rushing past in the hall is different from chatting with a friend over coffee.
Absolutely.
How much does that context really matter?
It's huge. If we connect this to the bigger picture, tailoring your response is, well, it's crucial. It's what makes you sound present and human, not like a script. So for instance, at work, maybe you say, doing well, just wrapping up that presentation, feeling good about how it went. Professional, but specific.
Right.
With friends, you might be way more candid, honestly. A bit wiped, but really looking forward to the weekend. Yeah. Much more personal.
Yeah, totally different vibe.
And say in a virtual class, maybe something like feeling energized, ready to dive in, how's everyone else feeling? Engaged sets a tone. It's all about that situational awareness, that emotional intelligence, even in a simple greeting.
So it really boils down to reading the room, understanding the relationship, and picking words that feel right, feel genuine for that specific moment.
Exactly. Making it feel real.
I was really struck by a story in the source material about someone named Sarah who actually did this, put it into practice.
Yes. Sarah's story is great.
Can you tell us about that? How did it play out for her?
Yeah, so Sarah, she's originally from Brazil, and she found herself just defaulting to "I'm fine" in her work meetings. It was just her habit, her go-to phrase.
Like many of us.
Like many of us. But then she decided to consciously shift it. She started saying something more descriptive, like, I'm really excited about today. We're rolling out the new product features.
Okay, much more specific.
Way more specific. And the reaction from her team, it was immediate, enthusiastic. People engaged differently.
Wow.
And get this, that seemingly tiny linguistic tweak led directly to her being asked to lead that actual session.
Really? Just from changing her greeting?
Just from that shift. It shows how a subtle change can be a surprisingly major professional lever.
That's incredible. A tiny shift, like you said, but a huge impact on her presence, her opportunities. It really drives home how these little communication choices can completely change the outcome.
It really does.
And that story, Sarah's story, it ties perfectly into some expert insight that was also in the sources. Dr. Susan Roa, communication specialist, shared the statistic that honestly made me stop and think. She said, adding even a hint of detail in greetings boosts engagement by 40%.
40%.
40%. That's not a small number. That's a massive jump.
It really makes you pause, doesn't it? And it raises the question, why? Why is that number so high?
Yeah, what's behind that?
It shows that personalizing your response, adding that little bit of detail, it isn't just, fluffy politeness.
Right.
It's a powerful tool for actual connection, real engagement. Think about it. A 40% boost means for every 10 times you greet someone that way.
Okay.
4 more people are likely to lean in, maybe ask a follow-up question, feel a stronger connection. It lays the groundwork for better interactions down the line.
Sure.
It basically demonstrates that you're present. You're not just on autopilot. And that presence, it's magnetic.
Presence is magnetic. I like that. This whole deep dive has really shone a light on how just a few words chosen carefully can completely reshape our interactions. So just to recap what we've kind of uncovered today, try to steer clear of that generic "I'm fine."
Yeah, bitch the default.
Intentionally add a bit of context or maybe emotion to your response.
Just a hint is often enough.
And always, always try to tailor your tone and what you say to fit the specific moment, the specific person.
Read the room.
So the challenge for you, listening right now.
Yes, your challenge from this deep dive
is to actually put this into practice, like starting now.
Immediately. Next time someone asks, how are you? Make that conscious choice. Respond with one of these upgraded phrases we talked about.
Okay.
And then just notice. Pay attention to how the conversation shifts. You might be genuinely surprised by the immediate difference. The change in connection, maybe the depth of what follows.
So thinking bigger picture, what does this really mean for you beyond just these single moments?
Yeah.
Think about how this one small conscious shift in your daily greetings could potentially ripple outwards, how it could transform not just those fleeting conversations, but the overall quality of your relationships, socially, professionally, even personally. How much more connected, how much more understood could you feel just by choosing a few different words?